The AI revolution is happening whether we resist it or not. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the 5 skills that you need in order to not be left behind. Let's face it, we thought that AI technology was going to replace the boring old blue-collar jobs, but guess what? It's actually the opposite. Turns out it's replacing the creative jobs first. Proof again that humans are often wrong when it comes to predicting the future. These are the jobs that are already deeply affected. Computer coding, copywriting, web design, and I'm told that replacing actors and actresses in Hollywood aren't far off. And really, we're only at the first stage of the AI revolution. I'm Samantha Postman, a former welfare kid turned serial entrepreneur and polymathic educator. How many times have you heard the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none? This is one of my least favorite sayings. Specialists like to use this phrase against generalists. It's meant to be an insult. However, the phrase goes, jack of all trades, master of none, but often better than a master of one. In the age of AI, generalists are going to trump a world that's been traditionally ruled by specialists. Specialists is for insects. This phrase comes from one of my favorite thinkers, Robert Heinen. Might be Heinen, maybe you'll have to let me know in the comments. A human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight effectively, die gallantly. Specialization is for insects. So here's the thing. Humans aren't meant to specialize their entire life. We're curious creatures. We like to explore and we like to add multiple experiences and skills to our toolkit. Let's be honest, if your only skill is graphic design, you already are getting replaced by AI. However, if you can pair your graphic design with 3D or world building or app development, you'll be more like a generalist and able to thrive in the new revolution. Skill 1, become a generalist. This brings us to skill number 2, learning. As the saying goes, learning how to learn is like wishing for more wishes. Isn't it kind of crazy that we don't learn different learning methods in school? Turns out we all have different ways of learning. If you want to become a better learner, here's a few tips, and you may need to combine 2 or 3 of them. Find out about your learning style. Some people need to see and hear. Other people need to touch and smell. If we took project management in school and learned how to set milestones with our goals, we'd be a lot further ahead. And of course, progress over perfection. It's important to practice so that you have progress. It used to be said that writing was the most important skill you could learn in order to succeed. I'd say that in the new AI revolution, it's digital literacy that'll keep you from getting kicked to the curb. Next up is creativity. If you look at some of the greatest people of all time, like Leonardo da Vinci, one of my favorites, he used creativity to interpret the world and express what he saw. One of his first skills was drawing and sketching. His uncle used to take him out into the meadows and study the trees and the rivers and the mushrooms and all of the creatures that were out of there, and he would sketch everything that he would find. Little did he know that those childhood creative sketches would turn into masterpieces hung in museums for millions of people from around the world to come and see. In the modern Renaissance, we have people like Elon Musk. Remember when he came up with PayPal and everyone thought he was crazy? Guess what? Crazy people get to the moon, they buy Twitter, they create electric cars. Apparently, it takes a little crazy to be creative. I think crazy should be a good word. All of us have natural creativity. It's not always in the arts. It can be in the sciences. So find your way of being creative. I know for me, photography was my creative outlet. And even if your creative outlet is not something you're directly paid for, you can use the skills to skill stack into other industries and technologies. Our 4th one up is creative thinking. Obviously, AI has a hard time with creative thinking. It can mimic and it can mirror, but it's not able to perform critical thinking. In fact, it's more likely to reinforce what the masses already think. And we know from history that often the masses are wrong. If we were still listening to the masses, we'd all still think the earth was flat. Most people think that critical thinking is about questioning everything that others say or society or or the world. However, I believe that critical thinking starts with self-awareness, understanding your own cognitive bias. What are your belief systems? What is the culture you're coming from? What have you been taught in school? What have your parents been teaching you? Once you're able to process your own self-awareness, you're able to process critical thinking. Here's the thing, when you have to question your own biases, you're more likely to question the biases of the masses. All right, so we know you need to develop your critical thinking skills. Our fifth one is adaptability. I talk about adaptability a lot in live events on Twitter Spaces. I'll start out with one of my favorite quotes from Charles Darwin. "It is not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the most responsive to change." This is particularly relevant in the digital age, what I've called in my other videos, the digital renaissance. If we were to put technology in a race car competition, it would beat the fastest car. This reminds me about a friend who was telling me about his dad. His dad's about 80 years old and has no way to communicate with the current world. Even the nurses come in to care for him and they're using language he doesn't understand. He doesn't know what a scanner is. He didn't understand how barcodes work. He doesn't have a computer. He's never had a smartphone. He doesn't understand that you can get television on your phone. It's not like he's completely in the dark ages. He does understand what it's like to sit in a Zoom call, but he's never been one to set it up. He doesn't really understand how the internet works. He just knows that if you click a few buttons, you can talk to someone across the world, sort of like a telephone. We've all been hearing about the plight of Gen X's. They're about 40 plus age range right before the baby boomers. During COVID, some of the 20-year-olds became their bosses because they're the ones who knew how to run the technology. 40s and 50-year-olds are becoming irrelevant. Can you imagine when you get to 40 or 50, you might be only good enough for minimum wage? One of my friends, Corey Kaler, coaches dads in this exact situation who want to become entrepreneurs. Because you know what? If you don't adapt, you'll die. One mindset hack that really helps for people who need to be adaptable is see change as an opportunity for growth. See change as an adventure. And as I've said before, skill stacking is where it's at. When you combine 1, 2, or 3 of those skills, you develop an unfair advantage that's hard to beat in the AI revolution. The age of AI is upon us. By growing your skills in creativity, learning, critical thinking, adaptability, and becoming a generalist, not only will you have a lot more fun in your life, a ton of great stories, you'll thrive in the AI revolution. That's all the time we have for today. Make sure you subscribe, like the episode, and I'll see you next time. Live boldly and live a life you love.